Good evening. Welcome to the Parent Academy Real Talk on preparing your child for launch, career, and life. My name is Mary Beth Stapleton, Manager of Family and Community Partnerships for Hartford County Public Schools, and I'm honored today to be joined by the Counseling Office for Hartford County Public Schools, and we are going to learn together as parents. I'm a parent of a sophomore now at North Hartford High, on how to prepare our children for that graduation day and beyond. We know, just like Houston and NASA and a space launch, there are many, many steps to launching our children into their career and into their life. And our school counseling office is working just tirelessly every day to make sure that our children are fully prepared for college, work, and life. So without any hesitation or delay, let me turn this over to Ms. Kay Malone, who supervises our school counseling office, and she's going to walk us through all of their tips and tricks with her team on how to help our children for that successful career and college launch. Hi, Kay.
Hey, Mary Beth. Thank you so much for that introduction, and welcome to our parents joining us live. I think I saw a student, and maybe also the parents that join us with our recorded session. We are so happy to be here on this beautiful October evening. I do want to say that I'm the supervisor of school counseling. I'm going to introduce the school counselors that are with me tonight, but I do want to say that I have 4 children, my husband and I, that are all HCPS graduates. So not only have I been through this professionally, but also personally. So I hope that this is very helpful for you tonight as parents wanting to launch successfully your students. So with that, I would like to introduce Susan Smith, school counselor at North Hartford Middle School, also our level leader for middle school counselors, and then Amanda Sievert, school counselor at Edgewood High School. And they have volunteered to spend their evening with us tonight and then get up bright and early tomorrow morning and work with our students and your students as well. So I think really we're going to provide an overview tonight of resources, tools, strategies, processes that will help you as you prepare to launch your student for a career in life, and all levels, but tonight I think we're focusing more on middle school and high school. And I would say probably one of the most, not probably, but one of the most important resources are our human resources. And that starts with parent and guardians. So thank you for your interest in being here tonight and in watching this in the recorded form. We appreciate our parents and guardian support because that is so essential as we continue through this process. But that includes, as Mary Beth said, your student school counselor. So it's very important that your student build that relationship, that foundational relationship with their school counselor. And that can start with an introductory lesson. I've observed many of those this fall, summer into fall, August into fall, I should say, as we opened our school doors this year, where school counselors will actually go into classrooms to introduce themselves and what they do so that our students know how they can get the resources they need, they want from school counselors. And then I would encourage all of you, I was a high school counselor for most of my career as school counselor, and we would go into our 9th grade classes, introduce ourselves as a team. Secondary is so lucky to have team members. It's not just one school counselor, as many of our elementary school counselors work solo, but secondary has a team. And what we will do is go in as a team and introduce ourselves to our students and let them know who we are. But I would always say to the students, please don't wait until you're a senior to get to know me if you're on my caseload, because that's when I need to write your letter of recommendation or scholarships, or maybe on the job activities, even part-time summer jobs. And if I know you and I know what you're interested in, I can pass those along more easily. So as parents here tonight, that would be a wonderful way for your student to just have a meet and greet with their school counselor. And then we're also there when they need us. And that's a very vital role that we play in the school building. And then finally, before we launch into our middle school and then our high school resources, the importance of self-advocacy. So we're really working towards the goal of students being able to self-advocate, especially as they leave our homes and launch into post-secondary, whatever that is. It could be career, it could be college, two-year college, military, but the idea that they can self-advocate, and that's a process, and that starts really very early on, but especially through our middle school and high school, and our school counselors are here to help with that process. So with that, I would like to turn it over to Mrs. Susan Smith, who will talk to you about and provide an overview about the middle school resources.
Hi, everybody. My name is Susan Smith, like Kay Malone said. I work currently at North Hartford Middle School, but prior to that, I was an elementary school teacher for 7 years, and then I was an elementary school counselor for 7 years, and this is my 4th year at North Hartford Middle School. I'm really excited to be here because I do think it is so important for parents just to be thinking about what the future holds for their children. And I know sometimes we think 6th grade, why are we thinking about high school? But I'm going to kind of go through 3 different categories where as a parent of a middle school student, it's really important just to have these conversations and to talk with your kids about it. So the 3 topics I'm going to cover is preparing for magnet schools, because that is an opportunity for all students. And it is important for kids to really know what magnet schools are. Then we're going to talk about required math courses. I'm going to talk primarily about 5th to 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. And then lastly, I'm going to talk about Naviance. I know some of us have pronounced that Naviance, so if I accidentally call it Naviance, it's because I'm trying to switch over. Naviance is supposed to be taking the word navigation and guidance and pushing them together, and Naviance is used in our middle and high schools. So when we think about middle school, we really are starting to think about it in 5th grade. In 5th grade, your students, they're working hard and they're doing all the things, you know, to become a middle schooler. Middle school counselors, they go into the elementary schools. I know last year a lot of it was virtual, and they talk about, the counselors talk to the students about middle school life. And I can tell you from being an elementary school counselor, kids are excited about middle school. They're nervous too, we know, but they're very, very excited because it's the next step into, you know, becoming an independent student. So in 5th grade, the students, they take the MCAP assessments, they take assessments for their teachers, and those teachers really, the 5th grade teachers really look at all of that and kind of decide what they think your child is ready for 6th grade when it comes for classes. So in 6th grade, we always tell students that when they get into their class, it is so important to really focus on their work habits, their academic achievements. In middle school, we check Home Access Center very often. I was a 6th grade counselor last year, and I gave all my students checklists and says, check your email once a day, check your home access at least every other day, you know, communicate with teachers. So they're really learning how to be this independent learner, obviously with supports in hand. We also talk about the importance of attendance and then behavior. 6th grade, we want to make sure that, you know, the kids kind of know that those are the big ticket items. In 7th grade, kids are going to start hearing the word magnet school, and that might be a new term for some of them. And then they start thinking, well, what is a magnet school? And they even think about high school. And then in 8th grade, during the first quarter of 8th grade, is when they can apply for a magnet school. So kind of going back to 7th grade, you know, your GPA and your work habits are really important, because when you have 1 quarter of 8th grade, you want to make sure that, you know, you're still working hard. So magnet school applications start in the fall. Actually, right now they're actually open for our 8th graders, and they close around December 1st. But it's also important for kids to know that teachers need to write letters of recommendations or endorsements for the students. So throughout 6th, 7th, and 8th grade, we talk with students about how it's important for you to get to know your teachers and show them these great qualities you have as a student. So that's kind of the overview of what middle school looks like for a lot of our students in Harford County Public Schools. So you heard me say magnet programs, and some people might think this is a new term. What is it? I know I've talked to some of my students and some parents, and they really don't know a lot about it. So magnet programs in Harford County are defined as high school programs with specialized curriculum that are currently offered at one site and are available to 8th grade students in Harford County who qualify through the application process. Which is why in a few moments I am going to be talking about math and math placements and some required math placements in order to apply for these magnet programs. Magnet programs, if students do get in, there is transportation available, and students really get to know the group that they're with because the specialized courses that they take, they're with those same students throughout all of high school. So you might be thinking, well, what magnet schools are available to students? Here is a list of the different magnet programs. North Harford High School, you can see, has the Natural Resources and Agricultural Sciences. Havre de Grace High has the Information Technology Oracle Academy. Harford Tech and Edgewood High have the Teacher Academy of Maryland. Joppatown High School has Pathways in Technology, Early College High School. Aberdeen High has the Science and Math Academy. Edgewood High has the Global Studies International Baccalaureate Program, and Harford Tech High has Career and Technology programs. Now, at the end of my portion, I am actually going to lead you to a website that you can look at later to learn all about the different magnet schools and introduce them to your child. Just kind of show them what is available. So math placements. Math placements are a question I get a lot as a school counselor. So I'm going to go over the visual that you see here. In 6th grade, there are 2 math classes that are offered for students. There's Math 6 and there's pre-algebra. Again, the 5th grade teachers are typically recommending which math class they think your child will be most successful in. So if your child is in pre-algebra, they have probably shown on their state assessments and through assessments that they've taken in 5th grade that they are ready for that advanced math class. In pre-algebra, students then, depending on how they do, will be recommended by their math teacher to go to Integrated Math 7 or Algebra 1 Math 7. And again, teachers are looking at the assessments that are taken as well as the MCAT. Now, if your student is placed into Math 6 in 6th grade, they could go to Math 7 or to Integrated Math, depending on how they perform. But when you are in 7th grade, Math 7, Integrated, or Algebra, you typically then are going to follow the horizontal line across. So let's say your child was in pre-algebra and then went to Integrated Math 7. They would then go to algebra, geometry, and so forth and so on. It is important to know that Algebra 1 and Geometry are high school level classes. So they're treated as high school level classes. They are rigorous. They are, kids have to work extra outside of school on homework. Some students even, take opportunities to study with friends or to meet with teachers before and after school because they are rigorous. I will say, too, you do earn a high school credit if you take Algebra 1 or Geometry in middle school. But that doesn't take away the 4 credits that students must earn in high school. So students, when they go to high school, they have to take a math every single year. So 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th grade. They have to get 4 math credits in high school. All students who demonstrate exceptional understanding of both content and mathematical practices may be ready for advanced work in middle school. Additional mathematics course offerings are available through dual enrollment, and Amanda Sievert's going to talk about that during her portion. So kind of going back to magnet programs where kids will learn about them in 7th grade and apply in 8th grade. Like I said, this is the website that has all the information about magnet programs. There's actually some upcoming open houses for magnet programs, I think this week and next week. So if you go to that website, check out all the resources. But I wanted to show you this visual here because, again, the math placement is important if your child decides that they want to apply for a magnet program. And as you can see on this page, that the Teacher Academy of Maryland, Algebra 1 is recommended but not required. Pathways of Technology, it doesn't say that a math is required for that, a specific math. But Science and Math Academy, this one's really important to look at. It says successful completion of Algebra 1 and geometry. Now, I've had some students who complete Algebra 1 and very successfully in 8th grade, and they want to apply for the Science and Math Academy. Those students can take geometry over the summer. There is a summer course offered, and they can get that credit to apply to the Science and Math Academy. So a student has to kind of be thinking about that the first quarter of 8th grade and saying, do I want to devote my summer to take geometry to get into the Science and Math Academy? The Global Studies and International Baccalaureate, successful completion of Algebra 1 prior to entering the program, and strongly recommended successful completion of geometry. And then Harvard Tech, this coming year, it's going to be 50% on merit and 50% open lottery. Harvard Tech has lots of different programs, but as you can see listed there, the Academy of Health Professions, Computer-Aided Drafting and Design, and IT Networking, they would like a successful completion of Algebra 1 prior to entering the program. Again, if you have questions about any of the magnet programs that I've talked about today, there's tons of information on the website that I provided on an earlier slide, but every magnet program has a coordinator. This is an educator who is dedicated to answering questions about their specific magnet program. Rob Limpert, and you can see his email address there. Oh, I think there's a typo. It should be at hcps.org. He is the supervisor of all the magnet and the CTE programs. He too can answer any questions that you have about magnet programs. So now I'm going to talk about Naviance. Naviance, as you can see here as this visual, it's a college and career readiness. And again, middle school, you think, okay, they're just getting into middle school. Should they be thinking about college and career already? But believe it or not, in order to prepare for college and career, students really have to get to know themselves. They have to know their likes and their interests. They should know what they're good at, their skills. And again, going back to thinking, how do I network myself? Like Kay Malone said, how do I advocate for myself? So as you can see along this line, myself, my success skills, my network, and my career plan are really part of this middle school process. And I'm going to talk to you today a little bit about what school counselors do in middle school to help kids really learn about themselves and so they can pick a career and or a college that they like and that they're going to be successful at. So middle school. Here's a great visual that I like. I do show this with my students. In middle school, we really focus on our self-discovery. Again, like I just mentioned, we're going to assess our strengths. We're going to identify our learning styles, our personality types, and students are going to be able to learn from leaders. And I'll talk about the program on how they learn from leaders. Kids in middle school are really inspired by the people that they see, sometimes on TV, sometimes in the news, people that they see. And a lot of times if they make connection to people and those people have successful careers, you know, that inspires them to maybe go down that path. Again, middle school students, they also want to explore careers. I will say in middle school, some kids are just saying, I'm not sure what I want to be. And also there are careers out there that maybe we haven't even heard of. There's careers that haven't even existed yet that will exist in the future. So students do get excited to just read about careers, discover careers that match their personality. I know a lot of my students love to take personality and interest inventories, and then it connects them with careers that maybe they've never thought of before. Students do complete an assessment that leads them to a Holland code. And again, that Holland code connects with different careers. And then also with Naviance, they can set goals and track their progress. So just to kind of show an overview of what school counselors do in the classroom when they teach classroom lessons and they use the Naviance program. In 6th grade, the school counselors are introducing Naviance to the students, talking about what it is, getting them to log in, explaining that Naviance is used 6th, 7th, 8th, but also in high school. And Amanda's going to talk about how Naviance is used in high school in a little bit. In 6th grade, they also will explore that Road Trip Nation interview library, which Road Trip Nation is where they are listening to inspiring people that are telling their story about how they got to the career that they did. They also are going to get a lesson on organization and time management. And lastly, they're going to complete something called a career key, and they can add careers to their favorites list, which is great because when they go to 7th grade, those favorites are still there. And as a 7th grade counselor, we look at that list, and a lot of times kids will say, oh, I'm still interested in that, because in 6th grade, they're starting to really understand themselves as people. But sometimes there's things on that list that they say, oh my gosh, that's not something I'm interested in. That list can always be changed. In 7th grade, again, they're going to explore Naviance. They're going to also still look at Road Trip Nation, and they can also complete that lesson on organization and time management. But the new thing here is students will complete something called a career key that year, similar to what they did in 6th grade. And then the new feature too is that resume builder. I show them what a resume is and how they can add things digitally to the resume. We even talk about things that they're doing now in middle school and how that's important to put on that resume. And in high school, they're like, okay, I understand that extracurricular activities are important, or awards that I earned are important. And then in grade 8, they're still exploring Naviance. There's lots of different features in there. And they complete something called a Strengths Explorer. This can only be done one time, and we tell the students not to do it at home by themselves, because we can't reset it. And the reason we don't reset it is because we want students to answer it how they feel the first time, because that will then give us a really clear picture of their strengths. And then at the end of the year, they take something called Transition to High School Survey. Now, I know I went over a lot of terms that school counselors use all the time, but I did want to define these terms, and I kind of went through them a little bit as I talked about them. I'm not going to read through the definitions, but they are here for you. If you're watching at home, you can pause it and read them just to kind of go through what these different features are. Kids, again, they will get lessons with their school counselor in their classroom, but also they're encouraged to look at Naviance at home with their families and show their parents the things that they have done. The only thing we ask is that they just don't complete the Strengths Explorer at home, because that cannot be done again, and then in class they wouldn't have anything to do. But Naviance is a great program, and it's really designed for students to go home and show their families and get excited for the future. And now I'm going to turn it over to Amanda Siebert.
Thank you, Susan. All right. Hi, everybody. I am Amanda Sieverd. I am a proud school counselor at Edgewood High School, and I'm going to talk to you all about the transition from middle school into high school and how we help prepare your children for launch at the high school level. So I'm going to start with that piece of transitioning from 8th grade to high school, the same way Susan talked about how 5th grade's a big important part of the transition. So is 8th grade for us. So the first thing that you might hear when your students in 8th grade is talk about course registration. You're probably going to hear them say, well, the school counselors from the high school came over and I got to pick my classes, and we heard all about the different options at the high school. And we do that in the springtime, so the second semester of the school year. We go over to the middle school and we talk to the students and we figure out what they want to take next year, and we start building their schedule from there. So we do this every year with every single grade. So the words course registration you're going to hear throughout high school. It changes high school to high school as to what specific month they're with each grade, but it does happen typically between like December and March that you're going to hear the students. That's the time that they're going to be selecting their courses for the next year. And it's really important, especially for that 8th grade year, because they're picking their high school classes. They're opening themselves up to opportunities that they wouldn't necessarily have at the middle school. So they have honors courses, elective options that they can take. Our freshmen can even take AP courses, which is advanced placement courses. So those will all be explained to your students in 8th grade. So if you hear the words course registration, that's something you should definitely kind of perk your ears at for your middle schoolers. Another word is the Student Education Planning Guide. This is actually one of the most important tools that we use as high school counselors, because it's our Bible, essentially. It's everything that we do with our students. It's on there, and I'm actually going to go into a little bit more detail about it, but you'll probably hear about it in 8th grade because our 8th grade counselors start to go over that with the students and talk about graduation requirements at the high school level. And then another thing that you might be hearing as they transition into high school is North Star. This is HCPS's initiative to increase college and career opportunities for all of our students. It is HCPS's hope that all of our students graduate high school with either a college or trade experience. So then as we move into our freshman and sophomore years, you're going to hear some other words. And I just like to talk about these because you might hear me say them a little bit more. So again, I already said the words graduation requirements. That's number 1. These are the required courses that your students must take in order to receive a Maryland State diploma. And when I go into the Student Education Planning Guide, I'll explain exactly what those are. A pathway. You're definitely going to hear your student talk about a pathway because in Harford County Public Schools, we require 4 elective courses in a specific area of study. And that's called your career pathway. And it helps students get experience in a career field or a trade-like field that helps them prepare them for potentially moving into that field after graduation. Dual enrollment, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail. But that's course offerings through institutes of higher education. We often use this through Harford Community College, where students are allowed to engage in college courses while still in high school. And it's a wonderful opportunity for students. They can engage in it either for dual credit, where they're getting credit for high school as well as for college, or they can try college credit only, where they are getting credit just for college while they're in high school. Early graduation is definitely something you're probably going to hear from your students in their sophomore year if this is something they're interested in. It is when the graduation occurs at the end of their 11th grade year instead of their 12th grade year. So that's when students graduate a full year early. And that is that conversation starts during course registration of the student's sophomore year. So if this is something that your student is interested in, they need to discuss that with their counselor during their sophomore year. They can't talk about it during their 11th grade year because by then it is too late. So definitely keep your ears out for that if you think that's something your student might want to participate in. And then the PSAT. That is the preliminary SAT exam, and it's often taken in the fall of a student's 10th or 11th grade year. If you have a 10th or 11th grader, your child might have just taken it because we just had it last week. So this exam just helps students kind of get a feel of what the SAT is like and gives them some really great information after taking it about what they can work on, what their strengths are, and things like that as they move forward towards the SAT. So the high school timeline. So when we think about kind of what should our children be focusing on in each grade, there are some specific things. Some things can flow into one another. If your child's not exactly there yet, that's okay. But these are just some things that I really wanted to bold and discuss because these are the main events really of each year. So for freshman year, the main focus, we want you adjusting to high school. We know it's different. Students have to earn credit, which they've never done before. They are much more independent at the high school level. They're not eating lunch with or their class or anything like that. They're allowed to eat lunch with their friends. They're allowed to walk to class by themselves, things like that. They have just a different environment. So we want them to adjust to high school. We want them absolutely focusing on grades because a high school GPA starts the first day of freshman year. And a lot of students don't realize that it doesn't start over. Everything's on there forever. So your GPA starts the second you walk into the high school building. So we want you focusing on grades. We want you getting involved in extracurricular activities, and this is super duper important because so many studies and statistics show that students are just more successful if they are engaged in extracurricular activities at their high school because they feel a greater connection to their school, they're more proud to be there, and they also kind of have something at stake. So we really want our students to get involved. There's so many clubs and activities, sports, things like that they can get involved with once they enter the high school. And then they can start considering those dual enrollment options and thinking about maybe, do I want to participate in dual enrollment either next year, over the summer, things like that. They can start thinking about that. For sophomore year, you're going to start beginning considering your future careers. Ms. Smith talked about Naviance. This is a big year for 10th grade where we use Naviance with our 10th graders to start doing some career exploration with them and really helping them start to think about what they're going to be doing in their future. Start taking elective courses towards their career pathway. This is when you really start the thick of your career pathway. You might take 1 or 2 classes your sophomore year in it. You explore your interests and hobbies. This is very important for sophomores because it helps you know maybe what do I want to be when I grow up. Our interests and our passions are truly what should be what we want to go into in our careers. So having them explore those during their sophomore year is super important. And then again, considering those dual enrollment options if they think that either for the next year, summer, whatever it is that they want to participate in that. So dual enrollment, I said I would talk more about it, so here it is. So this is an opportunity for eligible high school students to enroll in courses at Hartford Community College for credit. And this essentially is, to me, one of the most amazing opportunities that a high school student could have because they can earn dual credit towards high school graduation as well as getting college credit at the same time. So we know that we have to take certain courses in order to graduate. We also know that there's certain courses that we have to take at the college level. So why not try to figure those out at the same time? So we have students who take all sorts of different classes for dual enrollment and they get their credit for college while they're already in high school, which is great. So eligible students can also save on tuition. So it's approximately 1/3 of the cost if you are a high school student than if you were to be taking an HCC class after graduation. And some students receive a full tuition waiver. So it would just depend, and that's definitely something you're going to want to talk to your school counselor about. But the cost benefits are exceptional. Students should consider this opportunity to the normal scheduling process. So when they're in the course registration process with their counselors, that's definitely something to talk about. And if we feel like that's something that we want we are encouraging your students to do, we're going to bring it up to them. But as Ms. Malone talked about, that self-advocacy, letting us know that that's something you're interested in because we just might not know that that is something you want to pursue. So bringing that up during course registration. And then as parents, we want to talk to you as well because you're a big part of dual enrollment. So please contact your school counselor to discuss options, talk about what classes are eligible for dual credit, what options are available for college credit only, things like that. We are happy to explore that with you. All right, so moving into that junior and senior year, this is the main event, the big liftoff is trying to get your students out the door and moving on to the next stage. So you're going to hear some certain vocabulary. The SAT and the ACT, these are the standardized tests that are used for college admissions. We encourage students to take them for the first time during the spring or the summer of their junior year. So that would mean the end of their junior year, or the summer would be right after their junior year for the first time. And then they typically take it again at least one more time, preferably in early fall. The ASVAB is the standardized test used for the military. So this is a required exam, no matter the branch, no matter the position in the military, whatever your student might want to pursue in the military, they have to take this exam. We offer this at the school. It is free. So students can take it multiple times while they're in high school, but they are encouraged to take it for the first time the spring of their junior year or the fall of their senior year. Part-time attendance. This is when eligible students are able to apply for part-time attendance for their senior year schedule. So that means instead of having 8 classes on their schedule, they have 4 or possibly 6. This is an application process. Students aren't just awarded part-time attendance. So this is, again, something they're going to discuss with their counselor during course registration. Trade school is a post-secondary option that teaches the technical skills required for a specific occupation. So this is a post-secondary option that is different than college. It leads someone to a trade certificate that allows them to go into the workforce, into a trade much sooner. FAFSA is the free application for federal student aid. This is the student aid application that you will have to do for your student their senior year. It opens October 1st, and we encourage you to do it as soon as it's open. Please do not wait. But this is what you're going to have to focus on as during your student's senior year. Excuse me. Scholarships. So scholarships and financial aid opportunities become available primarily in the winter and the spring of your student's senior year. I have a lot of students that call me and they're like, Ms. Siebert, it's October. I need some scholarship opportunities. Fortunately, there's not a ton that are out in the fall. So they come out after the college application process is kind of over with a little bit. So then they start in the second semester of the year. And that is intentional to give those seniors a little bit of a break after completing all those college applications. And then last but not least, you're probably going to hear the words Common App, Coalition, Send EDU, the Common Black College application, and maybe some other similar application names. These are all college and university websites that allow students to submit one application to multiple universities. These websites are credible. They are absolutely something we suggest that students use. I have a lot of parents that are like, I don't know about this. It is different than when you applied to college, trust me. But they are absolutely something, a great resource to our students, and it really helps them with their time because they're not having to complete multiple applications. They complete one application and can send it off to multiple schools. So going back to our timeline, so for junior year, this is when students are taking active steps towards planning for post-secondary options. So just some things that they might be engaging in would be taking the SAT and the ACT, going on college campus tours. We really encourage that before you apply to a school. A lot of families say, well, we'll go after they've gotten their acceptance letters and things like that. Why wait? Make sure you like the school before you spend money applying to it. So definitely get that done. Junior year, we recommend it, or the summer before their senior year. Researching trade schools, if that's potentially something your student's interested in. Meeting with military recruiters, things like that. So actively engaging and taking steps towards their post-secondary plans. And then they are also considering their dual enrollment options for their senior year. And then your senior year, this is when you are actively applying to college, you're applying for scholarships, pursuing trade school opportunities, you're potentially listening in the military or applying for jobs for the workforce. So your senior year is when you're really doing the bulk of the work and having a plan for what's going to happen after you graduate in May. So the Student Education Planning Guide, I referenced it before when we were talking about the transition to high school. This is the tool that is designed to assist students and families in planning an appropriate and rigorous high school program based on meeting graduation requirements and addressing student interest and career goals. So this amazing tool is available to you. Ms. Malone, I'm not sure if you're able to click on it, but the picture is a link. I'm not sure if it'll work, but if you go to hcps.org and then you click on the Students tab, you can then select the Student Education Planning Guide, and it takes you right to this guide. It is available to all students and families, and it helps you really navigate your plan for graduation and the courses that you want to take, you want to engage in. It helps you explore pathways. It helps you explore AP courses. It helps you explore the magnet options that Ms. Smith discussed. It also has wonderful tools about dual enrollment and college credit only on there. It is the most wonderful tool if you have any questions regarding your plan for high school or what high school might look like for your child. Ms. Malone, there we go. So I am going to say Naviance. I know Ms. Smith says it is Naviance. I can't do it. I have to say Naviance because it's what I've been saying for the past 5 years. So we use Naviance at the high school level as well. I'm so sorry if you hear my dogs. But we use it at the high school level as well. And we use it primarily for that career and college preparation. If you are curious at all about how your student can get into their Naviance, I have put their login information here. It's very easy. Something you should definitely know is that every student already has a Naviance account assigned to them. If they're in 6th grade to 12th grade, they have a Naviance account already assigned to them. They do not have to create one, but they just might not know their login, so I've put that information right there. So the tools that we use for Naviance at the high school level, it does vary from high school to high school what kind of structure we do it in. So different high schools might do different applications at different time, but we do use all of these different tools at some point during your student's high school career. So one of the things that we do is the Career Interest Profiler. This is what I know at Edgewood High School we do during their sophomore year, and it really helps the student start thinking about how their interest and their personality can relate to their future career. We use the Strengths Explorer, which helps the students explore what they're good at. They take personality tests so they can learn more about themselves and kind of the way that they think, and they might learn some things about themselves that they've never known before. There's goal setting on Naviance, which we use a lot. I especially work with our 9th graders and sophomores on goal setting when it comes to things like GPA, our SAT scores, things like that help them have something to look forward to and help motivate them to get to a certain goal. Resume building is an application on Naviance, which is fantastic because we know a lot of our students are getting part-time jobs or pursuing internships, apprenticeships, things like that while they're in high school. And a lot of those things do require a resume. So the application to build their own resume and create one is available to them on Naviance. And then big part of what we do on Naviance at the high school level is that we actually apply to college using Naviance. Students can use the college research tools on there to look up colleges, learn more about them. There's so many wonderful tools on there to explore what colleges might be the best fit for your student, how much college costs. All of that is on Naviance. There's so much information for students and families regarding just the college application process. And then your senior year, we send your child's transcripts, letters of recommendation, all of that using Naviance. And then we also even post scholarships on Naviance, and scholarship opportunities become available through colleges and local and regional scholarships all become available on Naviance. So those are big parts of the senior year and what we use Naviance for. Okay, so at this time, I think I'm going to send it back to Ms. Stapleton.
Thank you so much, Counseling Office. You all are amazing in what you do. We so appreciate all this information to help us guide our kids every step of the way. I learned a lot myself, again, 4 kids, and one of them is a sophomore at North Hartford. So I'm writing down as you're talking, and I'm sure all of our parents that joined us this evening were as well, and those that will be watching later. So once again, we don't have any questions in the chat, so thank you for everyone who joined this evening, and we really appreciate your time, and we appreciate the Counseling Office time. We know this is a very exciting time for our students, middle and high. So many exciting opportunities that are available to them to explore, and as parents, our job is to help guide them through that. And so you really have given us the tools to do that. So to get ready for that launch. So again, thank you everyone for joining this evening, and we'll see you at the next Parent Academy. Thanks.